What a jerk you are! You ought to get a divorce and vacate this location, scoffed my mother-in-law. She didn't seem to care that I was sending tens of thousands of dollars a month to pay off my husband's debt. Even though he was already dead, my father-in-law had always treated me with kindness. I had been quietly repaying these obligations, sincerely hoping to repay him for his compassion. You're such a jerk. You tinker with your phone or computer all the time. You should get a proper job if you have the time, she said. Calling her a bum is being too nice. This woman is an evil woman who hoards all our money. My mother-in-law and my husband are foolish enough to disrespect me, the main breadwinner of the house, as my father-in-law had entrusted me with his company. They have even committed unbelievable acts of betrayal against me. Fine, I'll leave. There's no need for me to put up with this, I said. I immediately agreed to divorce, gathered my belongings, and left my clueless mother-in-law and husband with their debt. Moving away, what awaited them was, my name is Emily. I got married 9 years ago at the age of 33. We don't have any kids yet. I run a small printing company that I inherited from my husband, David, and my father-in-law. 3 years ago, my father-in-law passed away. A few years before that, we started living with David's parents and helping them with their work. Originally, David had been helping his father since he graduated from university, and the two of us rented a place near his parents' home. When his father wanted to pass the baton to David due to old age, we agreed and started living together. I quit the web design company I used to work for and started helping with the operations of my father-in-law's printing company. Currently, we don't have any employees, so we are doing all the work by ourselves. When my father-in-law was alive, he used to employ a female worker, but I was able to handle everything by myself, so I let her go. Living together was not a problem when my father-in-law was alive, but after he passed away, who was the central pillar of our family, various distortions started to come to the surface. Are you going to spend the whole day wandering around the house again? My mother-in-law keeps picking fights with me. If it's my fault, it's only fair that she complains. But I'm not just playing around, which is a problem. David operates the printing machine, packages the printed materials, and delivers them by truck, while my main role is customer and data management. If there are any issues with the data submitted, I sometimes have to correct them. This data correction work that I do is very popular and has been increasing our sales. But my mother-in-law doesn't know that David is not good with computers and can't operate them at all. So he and my mother-in-law don't really realize that I'm the one supporting them behind the scenes. Even before my father-in-law passed away, my mother-in-law had always stayed away from work, so it can't be helped that she sees me working on the computer as playing around. But recently, my mother-in-law began to accuse me more intensely, causing complications in our home. The reason for this is complicated and seems to be related to a former employee named Anna. Anna and David were childhood friends and were always in the same class from elementary to high school. After my father-in-law passed away and the funeral was over, Anna started visiting our printing company frequently. Since she knew Anna from when Anna was a child, she had a good relationship with my mother-in-law. I heard that the reason Anna was hired in the first place was because my mother-in-law strongly recommended her to my father-in-law. When my father-in-law was alive, he harshly criticized Anna, saying she always slacks off, and when she does work, it's careless and full of mistakes. We worked together for a few days during the handover period, and I was amazed at how sloppy she was. She couldn't even operate a computer properly, let alone correct any data. Even simple calculations were full of mistakes, so important documents like invoices were manually handwritten by my father-in-law and then handed over to me. When I checked her online search history, I found she was mainly looking at vulgar sites and dating sites. I couldn't stand her, and it seems my father-in-law felt the same. Anna had a strong role as my mother-in-law's conversation partner, which didn't impress my father-in-law, who has a strong work ethic. The problem lies with David's stance. While he used to work diligently when my father-in-law was still alive, he has now started complaining about me just like my mother-in-law. You have it easy. You're just messing with a computer all day. It feels like I'm the only one working seriously here. Being told that I'm just playing around and having fun, not only by my mother-in-law, but also by my own husband, is infuriating. This must have been Anna's idea. When my father-in-law was alive, I was never accused of such ridiculous things. Now it's just the three of us, my mother-in-law, David, and I, living together. All I want to do is protect this printing company that my father-in-law left us. But it's not going well, and it's giving me a terrible headache. The number of orders has increased because I can correct the data well, and sales have gone up. However, our financial situation is still extremely challenging. The reason is due to my mother-in-law and David's horrible way of spending money. My mother-in-law has always been a big spender, buying branded goods one after another, and doesn't stop even. When warned about it ever since my father-in-law died, and David's business card title became CEO, he has also begun to spend conspicuously. Even though we're a company of two, he's been referred to as the CEO in the second generation by the customers, and it seems like he's getting the wrong idea, which is troubling. After work, he goes out drinking almost every night, and my mother-in-law, too, says since her son's out, she also goes out for dinner. Both my mother-in-law and David are spending excessively. So even though sales have increased, the business is still precarious. On top of that, David has taken out a bank loan for a new business venture on his own, and our sales can't keep up with the repayment. Of course, that loan is no longer there, and when I asked him what he used it for, he wouldn't tell me. Since he had taken over the position as CEO from his father, along with the company being his, he must have easily applied for the loan out of his desire for money to play around with. Watching her own son having fun with a bank loan while the workload increases, my mother-in-law misunderstands that sales and business are going well with lots of income and tries to keep up spending money, as if they were both in a spending competition. It's a terrifying downward spiral. The repayment amount for the loan that David spent for his fund is several hundred a month. I'm the one dealing with the financial side, so I'm the one who has to make do and pay, but their spending doesn't stop. I had to take drastic action. I explained the current financial situation and put both my mother-in-law and David on an allowance. It was a very natural thing to do, but the two of them, who wouldn't agree and weren't convinced, started to act in unbelievable ways. Anna said that our company seems to have a lot of sales. Aren't you hiding and embezzling the money? Anna said there should be cash and life insurance money left by my husband. They consulted Anna, a former employee, and believed what she said over me. Are they believing her, or are they just picking out the stories that are convenient for them and demanding more money? Either way, Anna, a former employee, was a threat and a nuisance to me. My married life with David has completely cooled off lately. We talked about wanting to have a child before and after I turned 30 when we got married, but it doesn't seem like this is going to happen now. Even if I work my bones off, my mother-in-law and David waste the money while they dine out, and I'm left with the lonely task of dealing with the leftovers. I'm overwhelmed with frustration at my mother-in-law and David, but there are two reasons why I'm enduring the current situation. One is my hobby, SNS. When I posted about my current home and company situation self-deprecatingly, it was surprisingly popular. Posting about another day of dealing with leftovers all by myself also serves as stress relief for me, and my followers increase, making for a good change of pace. The other, which is the biggest reason, is that I was asked directly by my father-in-law. My father-in-law liked me and often said, "Emily, I'm entrusting this printing company to you." I was entrusted with all the critical tasks like accounting and finances, and I was in charge of dealing with clients. He must have trusted me a lot to entrust me with the accounting and finance side, where I can see all the cash flow of the company. Considering my father-in-law's feelings, I felt obligated to maintain this printing company he cherished. He saw me as a family member, as his daughter-in-law, and as a colleague, working together on the days when David and my mother-in-law were out. My father-in-law and I were working overtime. He'd often mutter, "I'm sorry my foolish wife and son are always causing you trouble, Emily. You don't have to put up with those idiots." I want to keep protecting this printing company built single-handedly by my father-in-law as a testament to my gratitude towards him. You're just a bum, aren't you? All you do is mess around with computers and smartphones. If you have any time to spare, you should get a proper job. Again today, while I was checking the order data because the text was not outlined, I was fixing it after confirming with a client. David started to criticize me. Forgetting to outline is common, but if it's left alone, it could turn into garbled text. It takes time to transfer the data if we have the client fix it and could delay the deadline. Even though I am doing a very important job, it is very offensive to be called a bum like that. Calling her a bum is being too nice. This woman is an evil woman who hoards all our money. My mother-in-law also joins in to add to the conversation. It is clear that their goal is to spend money. However, calling me a bum and an evil woman is nothing but an insult. Even so, I patiently explained the company's situation to them again. What happened to my husband's personal savings? It should still be there. My father-in-law's savings were used up long ago by my mother-in-law and David, and there's not even a penny left. That's why David applied for a bank loan in the company's name. So my mother-in-law's ignorance towards any of that is just outrageous. He must have worked hard, so he must have had a secret account handed over. Indeed, my father-in-law was a hard-working and honest man. He did not take excessive tax measures for accounting, and he processed my mother-in-law's payments with her terrible spending habit through his income. That's why he didn't have a lot of savings. But even after using up those savings, I can't believe that she's claiming her husband had a secret account. Given my father-in-law's character, having a secret account is unthinkable. To me, it felt like they were being a nuisance against my father-in-law, which only intensified my disgust for them. I wondered if continuing to work with my money-crazed mother-in-law and husband is the way to repay my father-in-law. While I was spending my days worrying about such thoughts, one day I witnessed a shocking sight. It was a Friday night. One of our long-standing clients wanted to consult about printing a new product catalog and requested a print sample on matte paper. They wanted to complete the data over the weekend, so they really needed the sample that day. But David had gone out for a drink in the evening. As they were a long-standing client, and since it was only for a magazine, I went to deliver the print sample directly to the client. On my way back, I caught my breath at the sight of a couple walking ahead of me. David was walking arm in arm with a woman, and next to that couple, my mother-in-law was walking, cuddling up to them. I couldn't comprehend the situation unfolding before my eyes. As I distanced myself from the trio, making sure they wouldn't notice, I saw the woman cozying up to David without a care in the world as she leaned in to talk to him. I realized who she was, looking at her profile. It was Anna, the former employee. Once I knew that the woman was Anna, my thoughts halted, and I found myself frozen on the spot. The three of them chatting happily gradually became smaller in the distance until they disappeared into a high-end barbecue restaurant. I remained still, frozen on the spot. I was in shock. I can't even remember how I managed to get home after that. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in front of my home computer, my mind filled with the scene I had just witnessed, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Regardless of how you looked at it, David and Anna didn't seem to be in a typical relationship. Even though our marriage had cooled off, seeing the act of betrayal firsthand made it impossible to hide my anger. If David and Anna were in an intimate relationship, it's only natural that he would trust her more than me. However, what I couldn't accept was that my mother-in-law was also with them. Today, it seems like my mother-in-law and Anna have been good friends since the old days. But for her to enjoy herself next to them while they're being so close, does this mean David is having a relationship with Anna upon my mother-in-law's approval? Well, I can't believe something so outrageous. If it's true, it would explain all the behaviors of my mother-in-law and David since my father-in-law passed away. I wanted to keep protecting this printing company entrusted to me by my father-in-law, but I didn't know what to do. Even when Saturday came, neither David nor my mother-in-law returned. They didn't return until Sunday afternoon. They explained that they had gone to a spa together in downtown. Together, you say? Wasn't it actually the three of you, including Anna? I calmly threw out the question that came to mind, and they both exploded in anger as if I had hit the mark. What's the matter with Anna? She's just worried about me and Mom. Exactly. Since Anna worked at our place, she knows you're trying to hoard my husband's savings all by yourself. Simply pointing out that they must have been acting together with Anna, they both became extremely emotional. I'm divorcing a woman who would hoard my father's savings. If you're a bum, get a divorce and leave. Having been told to divorce and leave, I plainly accepted it and said, "Understood. I will leave then," and left the place. I had my luggage packed the day before and had already arranged to have it delivered to my parents' house. I could come back for the larger items later. I just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Even if you come back crying, there is no place for you here. David's parting words pierced my back as I bit my lips and clenched my fists tightly at his words. I left. A week later, David contacted me to sign the divorce papers and called me in to complete the procedures, including the handover of my father-in-law's company. David, my mother-in-law, and even Anna were all present here. Sign it quickly. Without even a chance to confirm the divorce papers that David had handed me, my mother-in-law rushed me. It's too late to apologize now. You should be grateful to David and his mother for not suing you. Anna's off-base comment hits on my nerves. However, not wanting to be seen as hesitant, I confirmed that David's column was filled out and silently signed my name as well. When I looked up after signing, the three of them were smirking. "Well, give me all the company's bank books and stuff," David said. So I took them out of the drawer of the computer desk I was using and handed them over. David, eager to open the bank books, was peered at from the side by my mother-in-law and Anna. The sloppy smiles on the three of them quickly changed. "What's this?" Anna was the first to speak after seeing the balance in the bank book. "Isn't this wrong?" my mother-in-law muttered, looking at David. Nodding, he said to me, "Hey, what's this? What does a balance of $30 mean?" While handing me the bank book. "It's the total assets of our company." "Well, there may be some deposits at the end of the month, but as I've explained many times, we have more payments than deposits, so there's no balance." I calmly relayed this information to them. "There's no way that's the case. We're printing and delivering every day. It doesn't make sense that we don't have any money. Indeed, we make a monthly revenue of $22,000. But printing involves using several machines like the printer, cutting machine, and seal machine. The lease fee for these machines alone costs over $1 million every month. The electricity cost is incomparable to that of a normal household, and there are loans for the delivery trucks and forklifts needed to load the orders. There's also the repayment of the bank loan we applied for after my father-in-law passed away, which is more than $3,000 a month. The revenue just seems to vanish from right to left. Moreover, the repayment of personal loans squandered by my mother-in-law and David exceeds $2,000 a month, which I've been managing and repaying personally so far. That's why I've also been taking care of the whole living expenses. I explained this fact again and said, I will now have over $2,000 free each month, as I won't have to repay for the two of you. So it'll all be easier. Stop lying that we have no money despite working so hard every day. David, who refuses to understand, yells out emotionally. Even though yelling won't change anything, there is revenue. But it's already been squandered on loans by you and your mother. After the repayments are over, we might save $5,000. I knew that they wouldn't be able to afford anything at all during the repayment period, but that's no longer my concern. They can learn the hard way in the future. When does this repayment end? Anne asks a practical question. It's a hassle to answer, but I have to in order to avoid going in circles. The bank loan has 3 more years, and the personal loans of David and his mother have over 5 years. I bluntly respond, causing Anna to gasp in shock. Wait, does that mean we'll be in the red for the next 3 years? Anna, who was probably in it for the money, is disappointed. At this rate, yes, that's most likely it. I say coldly, finally making some progress in the conversation thanks to Anna's understanding. What about the hidden account? My husband had a hidden account, right? My mother-in-law, trying to put herself in a good light with Anna, says this. Yeah, isn't there a secret account? Prompted by my mother-in-law, Anna presses on with her questioning. What a woman thinking only about herself. I haven't heard of it nor seen it when he was alive. Perhaps everyone should look for it after this. I say, I don't understand at all on what basis Anna is pursuing this hidden bank account. She must be watching too many shows or dramas or something. Among the 3, who have gradually started to understand reality, David finally asks a practical question. Wait a minute, then how did you manage this financial issue so far? Finally, he has arrived at this question. I explained in detail that the way I have been covering the cost of living and filling the gap until now is from my personal income. I have over 1 million followers on a blog called Small Factory Struggle Diary on social media. Every month, a substantial amount of advertising revenue is deposited into my personal account. The income is so significant that I need to file individual tax returns separate from the printing company's financial statement. I think you'll understand if you look at the books later, but the company owes a repayment obligation for the supplementary cost from my personal lending. Please consult with a tax accountant or a lawyer, I say. Yes, this is the main content I wanted to convey today. Regardless of the compensation for divorce, I will become a creditor in the future. I used to take care of their lives because they were my family, but I don't care anymore. And of course, I want to get back the money I lent them. Hey, David, even if you're a CEO, you're no different from a poor person. With this, Anna, who quickly understood the situation, scorns David. I can't marry you in this situation. Goodbye. David and his mother chase after Anna, who turns around and quickly tries to leave. It's okay. It's okay. We have enough sales, so there's no problem if we ask for additional financing from the bank, says David. Yes, Anna, my husband's company is trustworthy. So don't worry, my mother-in-law chimes in. Whether Anna tires of him or reconciles with him, she should do as she likes. The three are absorbed in their conversation. I have said everything I had to say and decided to leave because I have no more business here. Several months later, it seems that David and his mother went to the bank to discuss additional financing, but were rejected and reluctantly rescheduled to reduce monthly payments and extend the repayment period. This is something I expected. How pathetic. I saw them again after filing for divorce, which came surprisingly early, just a few weeks after that discussion. When David and my ex-mother-in-law visited my parents' home, David said, "Emily, I was a fool. The company can't run without you. Please come back." David knelt down on the ground in front of the entrance, pleading with me. "I'm really sorry, Emily. I've warned him too, so can you please help David?" Alongside David, my ex-mother-in-law also got on her knees. They must have been desperate, facing a financial crisis at the company, but it was too late. My parents didn't let them pass the entrance, and the conversation took place right at the entrance. There was no way my parents or I would forgive them. You said you have enough sales, and that everything would be okay. Why don't you ask Anna for advice instead of me? I coldly dismissed them, and they left with their heads down. As they walked away, my parents told them never to come back. It was comical, and I felt satisfied. There was no way rescheduling alone would solve the problem. Most of David's company's clients had ended their contracts and were requesting my services instead. Since I had sent my resignation by email from my personal address, most of them came to me, who could modify their data. It was impossible for David, who can't use a computer, to maintain the clients. I signed an exclusive contract as a personal design office with a major printing company, so there was no problem with printing arrangements. Rumor has it that Anna was completely ignoring David, and my mother-in-law had visibly lost weight and seemed unable to even eat properly. They were only receiving complaints from the remaining clients, and I heard they had to pay penalties for some cases. Their downfall was astounding, though it was their own doing. I have started to get used to my new life and decided to visit my father-in-law's grave. I paid my respects at the grave and recalled the words he had left me. "Emily, I'm entrusting my printing company to you, but if you can't stand my foolish wife and son, feel free to cut ties with them. They're not bad people, but they are ones to get carried away with money. Perhaps my father-in-law had a bad feeling that this would happen. I sincerely apologized for not being able to protect his company and updated the recent information I received from my lawyer. Father-in-law, David's management will inevitably cause your firm to fail. My attorney advised me to purchase it. How should I proceed? Tens of millions of dollars would be required to purchase the business, but as long as I can use it as a stepping stone to the larger printing company, that's a minor price to pay. It appears that my exclusive deal has some worth. If David decides to alter his mind, I might think about offering him a job. Is there a way to pay my father-in-law back for that? However, I imagined that my heavenly father-in-law would shake his head and say something along the lines of, "Emily, you don't have to force yourself.